Philip and Elizabeth Jennings have to make a terrible decision that changes their lives forever on The Americans finale. Jeffrey Neira, FX warning, there are major spoilers ahead for The Americans finale. The Americans ended its sixth season run Wednesday night on FX with a heartbreaking and shocking end that not even its lead stars saw coming. This is your last chance to head back before spoilers. At the end of The Americans, all Philip and Elizabeth have left are each other. FX in a season rife with killings, the show's final episode surprisingly culminated without any deaths. Not the Jennings, their kids, or even FBI agent Stan Beeman, who finally caught on to the fact that his neighbors were Russian spies the entire time. Instead, the show ripped its two American children away from Philip and Elizabeth Jennings. With the FBI hot on their tail, the Jennings made the difficult decision to leave behind their son Henry in New Hampshire while fleeing the country with their adult daughter, and spy-in-training, Paige. But then another unexpected turn of events occurred. Just as the Jennings make it past a final clearance check of their passports at the U.S. border, they discover Paige has disembarked the train. By the time they noticed her on the platform, the train is already in motion. All they can do is watch and cry silently in horror as U2's "With or Without You" roars to life in the background. Paige pieces on her parents before they can do anything to stop her. They look on in stunned shock. Jeffrey Neira, FX The two were ultimately able to escape to Russia together, but at the cost of losing both their children. If you were left with your mouth agape and eyes glassy like Elizabeth, you weren't alone. I had no idea that they would pick such an emotional route of devastation with the kids, Carrie Russell told press ahead of the season finale. I think the kids I did not see the Henry aspect coming at all, and that was just devastating to me. It's a tragic ending, Matthew Rhys told press during a separate call. I think the cost of what they had to do with their children in order to get out alive is so taxing. As a new father, it came very easily to kind of put yourself in that situation and go, I can't even fathom doing this to my own son, Rhys added of abandoning Henry. I just think about it as one of the most heartbreaking moments of our show. Elizabeth is floored by Paige's decision to leave the train at the U.S. border. FX The Jennings gave Henry an awkward farewell call from a payphone, but they never told him that they were leaving the country. Henry never knew about the family business and they wanted to keep it that way. Instead, the Jennings left it up to their neighbor Stan to break the news about his Russian roots to the budding hockey star. Stan is forced to tell a clueless Henry about his parents' true identity. FX While some may have wanted to see the Jennings pay in a different way, say in jail or with one or the other winding up dead, that was never the plan. Showrunners Joe Weisberg and Joel Fields told TheRep this is the ending they had in mind since the start of Season 2. According to Fields, they had different versions of the ending, but they kept coming back to this one. They were still together, but they had suffered this unspeakable tragedy, said Weisberg. If they got that tragedy from some other place, like somebody dying for example, it didn't land in the same way for us. Russell told press she thought this was the worst outcome for the Jennings. Personally, it hit home in a very real way. You're watching this couple go through the series and you're rooting for them, but you want them to pay in some way for what they've done, and they chose the most painful way for them to pay, said Russell of Weisberg and Fields' decision. They took their kids away and it's something I could not have seen coming at all, and I just think it was it was, and was. great about the page is they've already lost Henry, and you can't imagine that they would take Paige too, and she chooses to stay behind, and you're just like, whoa. As a parent, as a mother, it was just like too much. No one thinks you're going to have your kids taken away, Russell told journalists of the show's season finale twist. FX Russell and Reese, who are a couple in real life, have a son, nearly 2-year-old Sam. Russell also has 2 children from a previous marriage. Reese told journalists that ultimately he believed the Jennings got what they deserved, instead of what they wanted. Any parent who has had to kind of leave and abandon their children and life, and so violently and brutally as they had to, whatever the reward of returning home is at the cost of doing that to your children, I think the punishment is lifelong really, said Reese. So, they got out alive, but the cost of which they paid I think is, enormous. You can follow along with our coverage of The Americans, here.